Hello, welcome to a new vlog. I'm gonna jump right into my reading plans. I have also a little bit of a haul because I got my book of the month book, and one of them is part of my reading plans. So if you saw my last vlog, you know that I just read Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, and it was dense and it was long. Hello, Toff. You might just see her tell. And so as a bit of a palate cleanser, I decided to reread the Heartstopper series. And now we have a new one on the desk. As soon as one leaves, the other arrives. I feel like I shouldn't have to say anything about this. This is my third or fourth time rereading this volume. I've reread the others even more. So yeah. 5 out of 5 stars. I'm almost finished. I'm going to finish it tonight. I just needed a break from the fantasy because I knew the next book I was going into was going to be fantasy, so just threw these in. You know, I have to have my quarterly dose of Heartstopper. I feel like I reread it like every quarter. This one, as you know, is kind of a sadder volume, but I'm almost at the end where Tori like tells everybody off, which I love. I love Tori so much. So yeah, I'm very excited, and I'm gonna finish that tonight because only a little chunk left. As far as my December reading plans go, the first one I am jumping back into another fantasy just because I picked this randomly at the same time that I was reading Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. I wasn't sure if I was gonna do that solely on audiobook and then read a physical book, but I ended up kind of doing physical and audio for just that book. But I figured this is still kind of wintry, so I picked The Bear and the Nightingale by Catherine Arden. It is definitely a lot shorter than Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, but it is still an adult fantasy. So yes, I don't know too much of what this is about, but as you can tell from the cover, it's snowy. I believe this takes place in Russia, so I believe this has to do with Russian folklore. This is saying Vasya's stepmother comes in and starts kind of trying to change tradition or belief. So the blue-eyed winter demon Frost is angered, or potentially him, I don't know if it's actually him, is angered, and the evil from the forest is creeping nearer, and she ends up having some kind of dangerous gift that she's concealed, and she has to use that to protect her family from the threat. So yeah, I mean, I feel like that's very kind of vague. I understand now that this is deriving from probably a folktale or folklore, but you know, evil forces, powers that no one knew, kind of your typical fantasy plot. But this is a very popular series, and like I said, it has that wintry atmosphere that I want at this time of year. So I'm interested to read this. Haven't read anything revolving around Russian folklore before. Nothing specifically taking place in Russia either. Obviously I've read like The Shadow and Bone, and that's sort of inspired by Russia, but yeah. This is interesting. I'll be picking that up next. I'll probably start it tomorrow. And the one after that I'm 100% going to read. I usually just pick my books at random, but this was my book of the month this month, and it is Kiss Her Once for Me by Alison Corcoran, or Cochran? Cochran. It is a queer romance. I believe it's sapphic, but it's essentially she kind of had this meet cute romance thing with someone the previous Christmas, and then after that her life kind of goes into shambles. Fast forward a year later, she ends up in a plan with the shop that she works at, the landlord. She ends up in this like weird marriage of convenience kind of thing with him, and so when he goes home, or they go home to his home to meet the family, she meets his sister Jack, who ends up being the girl who she had the meet cute with the previous year. So that leads to, you know, some festive shenanigans. But yeah, this is actually the author of The Charm Offensive, which I have not read, but I own and have heard wonderful things about. So I had to choose it as my book of the month. I just got this today. I'm very excited to read it. I hope it's cute and wonderful and Christmassy. But I did want to just like briefly mention the other books that I got. Book of the Month sent me stickers. Love that. But they let me, since I've been subscribed for like a certain amount of time, I'm a BFF, and so I got one of their Book of the Year nominees for free, and that was, the one I chose was A Flicker in the Dark, which I've heard mixed things about. Some people think it's boring, some people really like it, but it was the only one that I like was interested in that I didn't own. I figured for free I might as well. It's about a woman whose father was imprisoned for being a serial killer, and then years later she returns back to this town where all this happened, and young girls or girls start going missing, and she feels like, you know, for the second time in her life she may be encountering a serial killer. So a typical thriller, I think. And then the other one that I got, this was not Book of the Month, I actually had a coupon for Barnes & Noble, but I picked up a Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. I've never seen this cover before. I don't know if like it had been previously self-published, but this is a book that a lot of people love. It has to do with the bride of Dracula, specifically the first bride of Dracula. She's seeking revenge. It sounds so interesting, like the way that she writes it. I think it might be written in letters. It could be wrong, but like this sounds great. I'm sorry, this sounds like she's gonna be one freaking badass character, and I'm excited. I don't know when I'm gonna read it. I had a coupon. This sounds awesome. I'm gonna read it eventually. Hello. I'm just checking back in real fast to discuss what I've read of The Bear and the Nightingale. I've got to, well, I just got to part 2. So that was 95 pages. I'm a third of the way through. I will say I don't have a lot to update on. I just felt like this was a good stopping point to like speak. This is interesting. I'm not really sure what the plot is quite yet. We've obviously had some moments or like points in the story that are going to come back in the main plot of the story, but most of this was exposition, being introduced to the family and the other characters, and kind of like their status in this country. You get somewhat introduced to the fantastical elements of it, but not very much at all. It's just like a very surface level introduction. Part 2 kicks off with Vasilisa, 14 years old, and I do believe that the main plot of the story follows her as an adult, as this is an adult fantasy, but I could be wrong. That's just my assumption. In the plot, the plot synopsis, it mentions the main character having powers, which definitely hasn't shown up much. I mean, I guess you could argue that one plot point is that, but like powers, they really haven't shown up. So this is definitely like this first section was just definitely to like build the world. I did enjoy it. I find it very interesting. I'm not familiar with Russian culture or like folklore, so from my understanding, there are like little creatures for pretty much everything, and then there are deities for that represent larger aspects. So obviously the frost, that's like a winter demon. They're sometimes referred to as gods, but other times not. So I guess you could say there's like little demons that hang out around the household, and then there's the big demons that are in charge of like the seasons and stuff like that. I'm learning about that. We've been vaguely introduced to it, and we'll vaguely see how Vasya ends up being like drawn into whatever the heck they got going on. But like I said, for the most part, this was built up. I do think that like this is a really good wintry read. It does switch seasons, but for the most part, where they live, it's winter is the longest season. So definitely has that winter vibe. I can see how the stepmother, Anna, is going to play a big role in this. She has actually quite a few similarities with the main character Vasya, but they handle it very differently, and that could be attributed to their upbringings. Anna's from a different part of the country. I don't know if they have the same beliefs as the one where Vasya and everyone lives, because obviously there is like the church is present, so I imagine the church and then like these pagan beliefs that have to do with the demons and stuff, they don't go hand in hand. So Anna in Moscow, where she's from, she references the church a lot. So I don't know. That may be like where they differ, because Anna didn't grow up with that kind of teaching. But it's interesting. The family has kind of dispersed, gone their all different directions. I do hope to see some of the other family members come back, because I especially like Sasha. He seems like a nice guy. He's gonna be an asshole by the end of this book, of course. Yeah, he's gone off, and so have Olga. So everybody's kind of parted ways at this point. And we did sort of go back and forth between timelines. I don't know if that's something that will... Timelines? Perspectives. And I don't know if that's something that will continue throughout the book, or if we're mostly following Vasya and we don't really see her siblings all that much. But I do like the family dynamic. It's very close, and it's interesting because they all have different, you know, goals and things that they care about. So yeah. I'm interested to see where this goes. Like I said, I'm a third of the way through. I can only imagine that the plot will thicken from here. We've got the introductory, the world building out of the way for the most part. So yes, I'm interested. The only thing that I don't understand, to be quite honest, is the names in this book. I don't know how this works in Russia, but the people, they have their names, and then it's like they have a nickname, which may be based on like your relationship to each other. So I know like the siblings will call each other by their nicknames a lot. Like Olga is Olya instead of Olga to her sister. So that's really random. I don't get too mixed up with that because it's usually just like one letter difference. I will say it does confuse me where the parent, like the dad or somebody, will have a different last name than their children, even though their children are unmarried. I don't know what's going on there, and it throws me off. Plus Sasha, apparently his name is actually Alexander, and sometimes they'll just randomly refer to him as Alexander, when every other time he's referred to as Sasha, which the two don't make sense. I don't see how Sasha is an abbreviation of Alexander, but it may be. I don't know. Just a really random thing. I can kind of like weave my way through most of it, but sometimes with those last names it trips me up. I'm like, are we talking about this person who's related to this person, or what? But yeah, really random, and that's nothing to do with the book, just like my own ignorance. So yeah, I'm enjoying it. I hope that the plot thickens, but yeah, I'll check back in at, I guess, part 3. I would imagine it's split up into 3 parts since it's about 300 pages. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm having a good time. I don't have any other updates except that Saxon is in his little cone, his flower cone, and he does not appreciate it. Oh, you want a little flower cone? You're a pretty boy. I'm sorry. That was unnecessary random life update. He has a little sore spot on his paw, or his paw is like dry, and he won't stop licking it, which just obviously makes it worse. So yeah, the cone's on there. We'll see if the paw fixes itself, but for now it just looks like it's dry. There's no like weird smell. It's not swelling, so maybe if he doesn't lick it, then it'll just go away on its own. But yeah, like I said, that was the reading update. I'm going to continue reading today. I don't really have any fancy plans at all, but yes, I will update when I get to part 3. I'm back. I once again said that I would update when I got finished with part 2 of the book I was reading, and I didn't do that. Instead, I finished The Bear and the Nightingale. I really like this. The pacing is a little weird, so I'm not giving it a full 5 stars, but like a 4.5. This book almost felt like entirely exposition to me. There was your traditional like rising action, climax, falling action kind of stuff, but it felt like the beginning of a story. Either that or like a story in itself, and then the next books would have to just be completely different, but I can't imagine that she would do that. So this is clearly just the beginning and just the introduction to the story or to the world. So I did very much like it. However, the characters in this are strong. She writes really strong characters. I can't say that I like them. I mean, Vasya is amazing. I love her. But like Constantine, Anna, get the fuck out. It's very interesting. I would say, I mean, this is really about a girl who wants to, you know, have autonomy. This is kind of in that time period. I don't want to say medieval, but it's kind of like, you know, when people would arrange marriages and then like you would have a dowry and all that stuff. Yeah, it's that time period. I don't know when that is, but it's that. And obviously she ain't about that crap. So she is always this really rebellious person. She sees things that other people can't see, and she, you know, stands up for herself, makes her own choices, and I love that about her. I read the synopsis for the sequel, and I'm excited. I don't know where the story is going to go from here, because I do think that this first book wrapped up really nicely, but from what I've read in the synopsis, it could be completely different, or it could be a huge expansion of what happened in this. Either way, it sounds great. I'm here for it. Like I said, I think the strongest part of this is the characters. I found the discussion of Christianity alongside paganism to be very interesting, and how that how people's beliefs affected how they interpreted everything they saw. So you see Anna, who is the stepmother, and then Vasya, who is her stepdaughter, the main character. Both of them have the sight, so they can see all these little spirits and things, but since Anna is, you know, raised more strictly in the church, she doesn't have these pagan views. Her reaction is a lot, like, more of a visceral reaction to seeing them, whereas Vasya, she embraces them and creates relationships with these creatures. So it's really interesting. And then you get this priest dude. Now I hate him. he's an interesting character to read about. He doesn't show up until part 2. But yeah, I think he adds a very interesting dynamic to the story as well. But yeah, I'm giving this 4.5 just because the pacing was a little off. You know, I would like this, we do get a little more into the magical stuff with like the gods or demons, whatever you want to call them, deities maybe, and that hasn't been really explained all that amazingly. There's some kind of the magic system regarding Vasya and whether or not she has powers, you know, isn't really explained all that great either. It's purposely being kept vague, so I don't love that, but there are 2 more books for it to, you know, expand, and I fully intend to read those. I actually ordered book 2 already, so that'll come later this month. So yeah, I finished this, really enjoyed it, highly recommend. Very wintry, so if you're looking for a book full of snow, then that's the one. But now that I've finished that, I'm going to start Kiss Her Once for Me by Allison Cochran. It's a tad bit longer, but I should start that maybe tonight, but who knows, maybe tomorrow, we'll see. I'll be starting it soon. I don't know if I mentioned this is a sapphic romance about like somebody who has a meet cute on Christmas, and then the person they had the meet cute with, you know, disappears, and the main character's life essentially starts to fall apart. And then it's after all of the crappy things happen, the next year they end up getting into like this weird marriage of convenience kind of relationship with, I think, their landlord, the shop's landlord that they work at. And when they go home to meet his family over the Christmas time, she meets his sister, and that happens to be the woman she had the meet cute with the year before. So I'm hoping it's really cute. I don't read all that many romances, but because, you know, the steamy times make me uncomfortable, but I have seen Darian, who read Allison Cochran's other book, The Charm Offensive, and they really liked it. They're also, you know, ace, so I would hope that that means there's less steamy times, but I could be wrong. So we'll just have to see. If it's there, I'll cringe and bear it. So yeah, those are the plans. I don't have any other updates, but I will update maybe when I get halfway through this. I don't know. Shouldn't take me too long. I'll check back in when I've accomplished that. Bye. Hello, I'm back to update. It's actually been about a week since I updated last, I think. Maybe I should get the books down that I read since then. And books plural. Yes, you heard me right. I read 2 and didn't update at all. Obviously, I read Kiss Her Once for Me by Alice Cochran, as I said I was going to. This was pretty quick. I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars. I still don't love romance. It's cute. It's cute. I liked it. I liked everything up to when they actually got together. Oh my gosh, I hate myself. I just like the pining. I think I'm one of those people who really just, like, you could just, like, touch hands and I'd be like, oh my gosh, such romance. But yeah, I did think it was very fun. I love like the kind of friendship and found family kind of thing that's going on in here, because the main character doesn't have the best relationship with her parents, and by best I mean it's actually horrible and has affected her mental health throughout her entire life. But I did really enjoy that aspect of it. I thought the romance was fun. I liked like the kind of flirty moments the cute little banter. But this book did have a third act breakup, and I think that's my biggest thing. One of my biggest things with romance. I'm still not a fan of the steam. I know a lot of people are, and it's a romance, so that's kind of the point. Oh, by the way, one of the main characters is demisexual in this, which is great. And I wasn't expecting it. I'm very happy about that. Actually, it's the main character. She's demisexual, but yeah, I'm still not a huge fan of that. It didn't happen often, so I can't say like it was as bad as some of the other ones that I've read where I'm like grossed out. Fade to Black is good with me, but I know like it's a romance. Get over it. But my biggest thing like with romance and the plots, they always, I feel like every time I read one, it has a third act breakup. And I don't know if that's just like going to be in every single romance that I ever read, but I don't like it. Like, I'd rather you guys have the entire book and then get together at the very end, like that, or you get together and then the climactic conflict or whatever is not within the relationship, like it's some external factor. I prefer something like that. I don't like this whole dramatic fight, miscommunication, somebody does something that is actually very bad and so you break up and then you end up getting back together. Like, I'm not into that. But overall, it was fun. I'm still going to read The Charm Offensive, obviously. I actually think I might like that one more. Hopefully less over-the-top dramatic stuff, because I mean, she's pretending to date or be engaged to this woman's brother, and while simultaneously trying to be in a relationship with this woman, so like, you know it's gonna be real over the top, real dramatic. So yeah, that was a bit much for me, but it was cute. Okay, it was cute. What wasn't cute was the next book I read. Not that it was bad. It wasn't bad. But that was A List of Cages by Robin Rowe. This took me not long to read at all because I worried for the innocent child in this book who was being abused. I had no idea this book was so dark. It doesn't look like it. And this is about two high schoolers, Adam and Julian, who used to be foster siblings until Julian went to live with his uncle, and they were no longer really in contact after that. Fast forward 5 years, they're now going to the same high school, and they reconnect. However, Julian has a very bad home life. His uncle is extremely abusive. You find that out like for the end of the first chapter. He said something and I was like, oh hell no, that better not be what he's referring to. And that's what it was. And then it just gets worse. So yeah, this was a very fast read, but wow, I wasn't expecting it. It's very heavy. And though I do think, I didn't rate this book, by the way, because I don't know how I would. For a book that is targeting younger readers, because one of the main characters is 14 in this, which to me, that's like a little young to have a very descriptive conversation or very detailed representation of abuse. I think that she did a good job writing that for this audience without going too far in the detail. But me as an adult, I understand the implications. The implications are very much present, and I can see the signs even without knowing what's going on. I can see the signs in like Julian's personality. He acts very young. He is 14, but he acts younger than that, and that's because of, I mean, his social development was stunted by this man. So I think the whole story is really to kind of call attention to that, the warning signs. I mean, there are definitely little aspects about him where I would, as an adult now, I would be worried for him. And so I think that's maybe what she was trying to do. Write a book for people who younger people so that they may be able to see the signs within their classmates or their friends of abuse and know what to do when that happens. So yeah, but this was rough to read, and it's sad knowing that these things happen and that this isn't even the worst of the things that happen, and she didn't go into all of what did happen in this story. She implied it, but you know, it wasn't delved into. And so yeah, it was I mean, it's tough to read, but it is a very quick read and an important one. And I do know Robin Rowe, based on her little bio back here, she is a counselor and mentors at-risk youth, so she has experience with this kind of stuff. I will say the kind of just normal life of the other teenager, Adam, the one who's not being abused, I didn't really care too much for. Some things were said that I didn't love. I couldn't believe how oblivious some of these adults were in this book, but I think that's kind of the point, to kind of point out without directly saying it how much these people felt this child, because the only, you know, saving factor in his life was his friend, and that shouldn't be another child's job. The adults should have been able to see the signs and, you know, stepped in, but that didn't happen, and it doesn't happen a lot in real life. So, you know, if you're up to it, I'd say read it, but it is very heavy. I feel like I can't give this a rating, because can I say that I enjoyed this? No, because it's horrible, the things that happened to this kid. But yeah, I mean, it's an important read, I would say. Once again, I don't really care for the other kids, just like normal high school drama and crushes and stuff like that. I didn't see really the point of that being there. So yeah, I didn't love that part, but that's not really what the story was about, so it doesn't matter. As far as what I'm reading now, and I figured I would start actually recording and like filming updates once I pick this one as what I'm reading. I'm reading Jade War by Fonda Lee, and I don't know if I did a vlog for when I read the first book, but it kind of wrecked me emotionally. Like, I was not okay, and I'm still not okay, and I'm scared of what's gonna happen when I get into this book. It's almost 600 pages, so that's gonna be a fun time. I didn't remember or realize how many characters there were until there was a list 3 pages long of all the relevant characters, and I'm like, oh god, who are these people? But there are actually maps in this one. I don't think the first book had maps. I appreciate that they're here, because we're having some pretty extensive political drama going on here, this little tiny freaking island. But I'm just gonna imagine like what happens if any of this comes into play. Like, that's gonna be crazy. But if you did not know what the Green Bone Saga was about, I will vaguely introduce it. This is a adult fantasy, and it is essentially about a society where people can draw power from jade, the stone, and how much jade you have correlates with how powerful you are. But some people, they can't touch jade without getting like certain side effects, potentially going insane. Some people it has no effect at all. So there's different types of people within the society, but it's like essentially a freaking turf war between 2 clans that make up the island of Kekon, I think is what it's called, or Kekon. And it's a brutal. People died in the last book, like a lot. Fonda Lee apparently just does not care about anyone's emotions, and I'm not ready to read this. But I also immediately bought it after reading the first book, so actually you would think that I am ready to read it. But like, I'm not ready for what she's gonna do. It can't be anything good. it's gonna break my heart, probably. I'm not okay with that, but it will make for some interesting updates, at the very least. So I will start reading that probably tomorrow. It's a bit late in the day. I will start the book. I will check in when I have updates. It'll probably be at least 100 pages in, unless something crazy happens and I just have to update. But yeah, I'm going to start Jade War. Those are the books that I read in the week that I just didn't say anything. And I'll update when I have thoughts and feelings. I'm scared. That's it for this clip. Bye. Hello, I'm here with update on my reading of Jade War by Fonda Lee. I'm not quite halfway through. I'm currently 246 pages into this. I got past the first like interlude. This isn't split up into parts necessarily, but there's like interlude chapters where it's like just a random historical fact that is supposed to be like foreshadowing or whatever. But yeah, I got to that first segment, so I figured a good point to update. Some developments have occurred. Mostly this book has been really political in nature, not a lot of action. I don't know if I mentioned this when I was talking earlier, but I mentioned this map and was like, imagine if the story expanded to these other places. And logically, that's exactly what Fonda Lee did. There's political unrest, violence going on in these other countries, and Kekon, which is this tiny island, is kind of at the center of it because of the connections that it has with these other places. The war hasn't really reached Kekon, where I'm at yet, but it's gonna happen, obviously. In addition, one of the characters is now in one of these other places, living within the Kekonese communities. He's essentially what I would say would be like this world's version of the US. That's where he's at. And it's interesting, they have some differences and some different like political things going on there. But there were some developments at the end of this first interlude, or this first part, that I was not prepared for. Like I almost, I almost forgot that the main characters aren't necessarily good people, and then one of them did something that was like, oh, okay, you really did that. It was a choice. It was not a good one, man. I always forget that I'm so used to like having a clear protagonist in a story, that when there's main characters or people whose perspectives we're following that aren't really good or bad people, they're maybe good people but do bad things, I'm always like shocked. I'm like, oh my god, why would you do that? We had a development there which may come back to bite some people in the ass, but we'll just have to see. I feel like the tensions are rising, and I feel like some shit's about to really go down, and I'm not prepared for it. But that's what I wanted to talk about. Like, it's, for the most part, this first portion, I wouldn't say it's slow, because I got through the majority of this pretty quickly. It's a lot of political talk, a lot of communication between countries and between people of power, and it's clearly setting up for the other shoe to drop, and I'm waiting for it I'm waiting and I'm once again not ready, but I will update when that happens. I don't know when that'll happen. I feel like it's coming soon. It's gotta come soon. So I'll update in the next part, I guess, because I think it may be split up into 3 interludes here, or have 2 interludes. But I'll update either at the end or, you know, whenever we reach that other part. I don't have too much to say because, like I said, it was a lot of build up. We get introduced to new worlds and new communities, and I find that very interesting, but I don't know what role they're going to play in the overall story. So once that starts coming together, I'll check back in. I'll let you know. It's going well. I'm enjoying it. It's just not too much action so far, but I can feel it. It's a coming. And that's all I really have to say. I'm gonna read probably some more of this today. I definitely am gonna read some more tomorrow because we're going to my brother and his family's house, and they live at least an hour and a half away. Today and tomorrow I have off. I'm gonna spend today working a little on my bullet journal. I got my beginning of the year spreads finished, and I need to start on the January spread. Anyways, yes, I will be working on those. I'll be reading. Once the developments occur, I will check back in. Hi, it's later in the day. I've only read about like 50 pages of Jade War since we last spoke, but as it turns out, the interlude that I was in wasn't very long, so we've reached the second interlude. I'm not going to start reading those chapters until tomorrow because it's late now, but I just want to say that the second shoe might have dropped. Is it shoe or foot? You know, like shit's about to go down. Like, somebody's gonna die. That's usually how these things work. Like, I can't say what's happening because I feel like that's a spoiler, but you know, usually when this happens, somebody dies. So I can't imagine either of them dying. But at the okay, like let's be real. Fonda Lee has no boundaries. Like, she will destroy any of these characters at the drop of a hat. So I don't see either of them dying. I mean, I feel like it's one of 2 people. I think I know which one it would be, only because it would probably make things worse. So we'll just have to see. It'll be the next chapter, which I'll read tomorrow. I'm not ready. The implications that the shit's gonna have, oh, I'm not ready for that either. Okay, yeah. Anyways, that was the update. I said I would update after the next interlude. It happened sooner than I thought, so I'm here telling you that I'm still not prepared. But at least I know when it's sort of happening now. Anyways, once I figure out who's dead, I'll come back. Or maybe it'll be a little later after that. I don't know how many interludes are in this, but I'll be back. Bye. Hello, time for an update on Jade War. I have less than 100 pages left. I'm not okay. I have 70 pages left about. So I said someone was gonna die, right? Like, okay, they didn't, like, not where I said they would, and the people involved with that didn't die, but like, don't worry, Fonda Lee has killed multiple people since then. So that was fucking rude. I was genuinely shocked. I was at work when I read that, and it's a good thing a call didn't come in while I was reading that, because my mouth was wide open. I was just no sign. Like, it just happened. Boom. Literally. So I was a bit distraught. I'm still not okay with that. The other one, like, I can live with. There were 2 big ones since we last spoke. Deaths, that is. The other one I can live with. Like, it's not a fun time. I knew it was gonna happen. Like, I met this guy and I was like, you're a nice person, so that means you're gonna die. Because that just how it be, you know? Okay, so yeah, things have picked up. I will say, though they have picked up, this is still, I don't know. I don't want to say it's second book syndrome, because I don't know if that's the case or if this series is just turning into a more politically heavy storyline. Because the first one, like, there was a lot of politics, but the second half was like mostly action. So that conflict was sort of resolved, sort of. The back-to-back like conflict thing, hello, I appreciated that, was resolved. There's still conflict, don't worry, but it's not as like constant as it was in the first book. So it's either just going in a politically heavy direction, or this may be a kind of a middle book syndrome. Not poorly. I feel like middle books sometimes they're seen as fillers. This is by no means a filler. This is build up for something huge. I can feel it in my bones. And I'm not ready. So that's great. I saw one review that said like Vonda Lee actually destroyed them with this book, and I'm afraid for the last 70 pages because either I have no emotions, which is very possible, or something else is going to happen in the last 70 pages that's completely going to rock my world in a bad way. And I'm not okay with that. Like, it could be, that review that I saw, it could be that they were talking about what's already happened. In which case, like, I'm not happy, but am I sobbing? No. When was the last time I sobbed, though? Let's be honest. We suppress our emotions in this household. So either it's that, or like I just haven't reached the part that's gonna destroy me. And I'm scared because there's two characters that I swear to God, if a hair on their head is hurt, I will not be okay. Like, one almost got hurt. One almost did. And I was not okay. If I come back and I genuinely am upset, like sad, then you'll know that that's why. So I don't want to say who it is, but there's two people who should be protected at all costs, okay? That's what I think. I am especially worried for one of them. I swear to God, if she hurts this person, I don't know what I'll do. I don't know. I'll not be okay. I can tell you that. The other one, I would say she'd have some guts if she did that, but like, I already know she's got some guts, so I guess nothing's holding her back. I don't see it happening. I don't. I hope it doesn't. Oh, I'm not okay. Okay, so yeah, the reason for this check-in, I reached the third interlude. That's why specifically now I'm checking in. I'm scared. I'm scared to finish this book. I'm like, I want to finish it tonight, and it's not gonna happen tonight. I have to work tomorrow, and it's already, what, 10:46. I'm not reading 70 pages tonight. Like, that's not happening. So I'll finish it tomorrow, and I'll hopefully be okay. I don't know if that's true. Vonda Lee, please have mercy on me. I don't know. I'm scared. I'm gonna stop freaking out in anticipation because that's not gonna help me. I'm just gonna have to read the book. I have nothing of substance to say other than I'm terrified for these characters. That's it. That's it. One of them is being put in a potentially dangerous situation, and I'm not okay with it. So yeah, that's what's about to go down in here, and hopefully I will still be emotionally stable by the end of this book. Probably not, but yeah, I'm gonna shut up now. I'm just gonna let you go. I'll update when I finish. Bye. Hi. Let's turn that on. I need to leave soon. I'm just checking in real quick. I don't have a tripod up there, so let's hope that doesn't fall. I finished Jade War by Vonda Lee. I'm not okay. So that
that's lovely. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I loved it. I think I said a lot of it felt kind of less action, more political, and that is still the case. I stand by what I said. But that ending, oh my gosh, the ending killed me. It's so good. I love this book. I love the characters. And I know that I said there's like 2 characters where I swear to God if they get hurt, I'm gonna cry. Well, not cry because we suppress our emotions in this household. So Fonda Lee decided to put those 2 characters, after not being really near each other at all for the entire book, together at the very end, you know, the most tense part, the most climactic, most dangerous part. They're okay, sort of. She really just had to play with my emotions like that. I honestly don't know where the next book is gonna go. I mean, I have an idea. There's still tension between the clans, but then there's a third party forming against all clans, and I don't know how much of a threat they're gonna be. I know one guy, he's just shown his tiny little ass around constantly, and I really wish he would die. He's been so close so many times, and it just hasn't happened yet. Yeah, he's gonna be there causing trouble. I'm scared. I don't know what Miss Fonda Lee is gonna do in that 3rd book, but it's probably gonna hurt me, and I swear to God, those 2, my 2 favorite people, they're still alive, and I want them to stay alive, and I'm scared for that last book. I am going to the bookstore after. I'm headed to an adoption fair right now. I don't know if I've mentioned this. I do them on a weekly basis for my local SPCA. So that's why you see random B-roll footage of like cats and dogs at a pet store. Yeah, it's my weekly adoption fair. So I'm headed there, but afterwards I am going to go to my local used bookstore just to see if maybe they have it. I got the first book, Jade City, at that store. If not, then I do have a copy in my Amazon cart. I just don't love Amazon, so I'm gonna check the local bookstore first. If it's not there, then I'll buy it off of Amazon. I loved it. It was 5 out of 5 stars, like I said. The ending was amazing. I'm so, and one half of me is like, my gut has been, I've been punched in it. And then the other half is very happy because I love the direction that certain characters are going in. I feel like I can't say much. I love Fonda Lee, the political tension, the relationship dynamics between, I mean, couples, but as well as the family. So good. So lovely. I'm so excited to see where these people's storylines go. That's it. That's my update. Oh, I picked the next book that I'm gonna read already. I'm gonna start probably today. The Broken Girls by Simone St. James. I believe it's a horror, either that or a thriller. But I've heard a lot of good things about Simone St. James. She does apparently a lot of horror thriller kind of books where you skim the line between reality and the supernatural, and that's something that I'm really, really interested in. Haven't started that yet though, so I can't really update, but I did want to say I finished Jade War, and I'm wrecked, but I also had a great time. So yeah, I'm going to turn this off since I am driving, and I will have some B-roll hopefully, and I'll update maybe with a book haul potentially featuring Jade Legacy. I don't know, but yeah, I'm gonna let you go now. Bye.
Hello, I'm here to close out this vlog. I don't know why I didn't in the last clip, but alas, I'm here now. I finished Jade War, 5 out of 5 stars, as I said, fantastic. The ending, oh my god, nearly killed me. I went to the bookstore. I did not find Jane's Legacy, so I ordered it off of Amazon. I guess Jeff Bezos can have my money after all. Anyways, it's whatever. It'll be here. Who knows when I'll actually read it. I started The Broken Girls. I'm not going to talk about that in this vlog because I want to talk about it at the beginning of the next vlog, but I kind of just wanted to recap what I did read this month. I don't know if I mentioned, but I did start out the month by reading or rereading all the Heartstopper books. So I reread all of those. I love them. They're wonderful. I want my children to be happy by the end of volume 5. I have Nick and Charlie. Apparently it comes out in January. I had no idea. I went to multiple Barnes & Nobles during that 50% off book sale, and both of them had that on display, like tables full of Nick and Charlie. So I had no idea it hadn't come out yet, and I bought it. Now I feel kind of bad. But yeah, I do have that. I'll read it. I think this winter comes out, or like in the timeline is before Nick and Charlie, which means I should read that first. But it hasn't come out in the US yet, so that's annoying. I might just buy the UK version, because I have the UK version of Radio Silence. So yeah, I'll have to get this winter, and then I can read Nick and Charlie, and then I'll have read all of Alice Oseman's books. But obviously those 4 graphic novels, they were rereads, they were all 5 stars. We stan. Then I read The Bear and the Nightingale by Catherine Arden, which I gave 4.5 stars. I don't know. I'm weird about ratings. Sometimes I'll want to change them afterwards. I don't know. I think it would stay around like 4.5 for me, because it can't be a solid 5. I'm not sure how much I love the ending. It seemed a little anticlimactic to me, but to be fair, I think a lot of this book felt like exposition to me, and it was the characters that interested me, like the dynamics between the stepmother and the priest and Vasya. That all interested me, especially the priest. I don't know why, but when you can just tell off a priest at the drop of a hat, then I'm like, okay, I love you. So I love Vasya. So yes, I do have the second book in that series, so hopefully I can continue soon. The plot seems to be completely different from this first book. I mean, it kind of seems like the only similarity is the character, and that she's off doing something completely different, not even in the same place. So we'll have to see how I like that. The plot may go into a different direction that leads to book 3. I don't really know. I don't know where we're going with that, but I enjoyed the book. And then I read Kiss Her Once for Me, which I gave 3.5 out of 5 stars. I despise third act breakups. I'm sorry, that's my issue with that book. I think overall I really enjoyed it, and then you got to the third act breakup and I was like, no, give me a romance without that. I don't want it. I don't like third act conflicts. What I do like is found family, and I thought it was so sweet the way that Ellie was brought into the family of this guy she was fake dating and whose sister she was actually in love with, and how they really just accepted her and brought her in, and she kind of, for the first time in her life, got to know what it was like to have a family time, a family Christmas, to have people who cared about her, and it was sweet. I liked it. I loved the friendship that grew between her and Andrew. So I love all of that. I did think the romance was cute. If you know any that don't have third act breakups, romances that is, then let me know, because I'd like to read it. And then I read A List of Cages by Raman Rowe. I wrote 4 out of 5 stars for this book. I don't know if that's really the rating I would give it for my personal enjoyment, but I would feel bad rating it lower. So I almost don't want to rate it. And I don't think I did rate it on Goodreads. This book is very fast read, but it deals pretty much exclusively with the subject of child abuse, and it was difficult to read. I would say what I didn't like about it is how we switched between two drastically different perspectives. Obviously the one that's being abused, and then there's another guy who eventually he is brought into that storyline as well, but it's kind of strange where you'll see one very intense chapter and then it'll just go to his day-to-day life being an annoying teenager, and I didn't particularly love that. But I think this book was done to bring awareness specifically for young adults who may see the signs of abuse within their peers, and so I like what it was doing. It was difficult to read though. And then lastly, Jade War. I don't think I need to get into Jade War. 5 out of 5 stars. It's a sequel to Jade City. It destroyed me. I love this series so much. It's so tense. I didn't know I would like political stuff as much as I did, but Fonda Lee has sparked an interest in political fantasies for me. It's just so good. And then she does not hold back. I was so scared for all my favorite people, and then RIP to some of the people, you know. I'm still scared for the last book. Like, there's these characters, I swear to God, they all have so much promise, and she could take it away in an instant, and she's not afraid to, and I'm scared of that. Those are all the books that I read. Like I said, Jade Legacy is on the way. We'll get to that eventually. I just kind of wanted to come on here and wrap all that up. Those were the 8 books that I read this month, and I did have, you know, some pretty high ratings, so I'm happy with this month. I read a lot more than I usually do. I just wanted to wrap that up. Those were the 8 books I read in December. Hopefully this was entertaining. If not, then I apologize. But if you liked it, you can like, comment, and subscribe. I hope you guys enjoyed. That is going to be it for this video, and I'm going to start my new one right after this. So hopefully I will see you then. Bye.